This is Doc with Doc and Lefty. Lefty is a little bit under the weather today. He says he is sick and tired of taking a pummeling every time he comes on the show in defense of Obama, and I can't blame him. Hopefully, he'll be able to get all the way signed up for Obamacare. I want to thank Ed for leading us into this segment. I also want to thank my producer, Ryan, who really does a great job of keeping everything together for us. Hey, where's Frank Jr.? He's gone. Frank Jr.'s gone somewhere. Doesn't know. Couldn't handle the pressure.
I don't know. I lost him. I thought he was going to be here tonight. So.
Oh, yeah, you lost him.
I lost him.
Well, anyway, welcome, everyone, to the show tonight. We're broadcasting out of the lovely downtown studios of Webcast One Live. We are here every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. We broadcast from the Des Moines area, which right now appears to be a swampland kind of a situation with all the rain coming down, which I think we need. The good news is it's not snow. That's the good news. So everybody who's complaining about the rain, be grateful it isn't snow. We have a lot of things going on tonight. We have elections. Ed covered the elections pretty well. Out in Urbandale, it looks to be a fairly tight race between Ron Pogue, Rob Elgin, and Dave Russell. Of course, Rob and Dave were on the show last week. If you look at the signs that are out there, Rob Elgin and Dave Russell are the ones that are doing the best heading in, because I don't see very many Ron Pogue signs. That may be because he's an incumbent and he feels safe. And, and good luck to all these people. I mean, the bottom line is, these are all people willing to give up their time and time away from their family to help serve the residents of Urbandale. And I want everybody to keep in mind that they should go out and vote right after the show, because I think the polls are open until 9. And, of course, Chris Diebel is up against Skip Moore in Des Moines. And an interesting thing is the Des Moines Register endorsed Diebel. And later in the week, after Diebel had sent out flyers and had bought advertising talking about Skip Moore's voting record, the Des Moines Register pulled back its endorsement. It was really quite surprising, because I don't think Diebel said or did anything that was, offensive or out of the ordinary. But he did point out that Skip Moore is one of the people that is leading this run to get the citizens of Polk County on the hook to repay I think it's $42 million that the Utilities Board had done. Now, Skip Moore, the bottom line is he wasn't responsible for the utility fees fiasco. He wasn't. He's just one of the guys that's responsible for fixing it. So for that reason, the Register decided to pull their endorsement of Diebel. However, I don't think that means much. The latest polls that I had showed that they were fairly close. So, it's going to be an election night thing. There weren't really any polls for Urbandale. Really, it's supposed to be a non-political position, but of course, everything's political. So, that's what we have going on. Of course, you have Mike McCoy out in Clive running. So we wish everybody there a whole lot of luck, and we hope everything turns out the way it's supposed to, so that we can get moving on with getting our financial house in order, particularly in Urbandale. Last week, I was really disturbed. And thanks to my brother Joe, who texted me about TIF, really, I got to looking deeply into tax increment financing. This is just unadulterated gambling with your tax money. That's what it is. TIF was originally designed way back, I think it was the 50s when concept first came out, and California used it first. But this is for areas of urban blight, to help improve the infrastructure of these blighted areas so that people will be more willing to move in there and improve the area. Now, like Dave Russell pointed out last week, one of the TIF areas is right over there by Windsong Theaters. And if anybody who's familiar with Urbandale, Johnston area in West Des Moines, that's kind of that area right there where they all kind of blend in. I will tell you, nobody needs TIF over there. The city didn't need to borrow extra money to do anything up there. All that was going to be done anyway. You have Texas Roadhouse up there. You have a mini mall. You have at least two hotels up there now. You have, I think it's Delta Dental. I mean, Delta Dental, I think it was about 10 years ago, bought this farm field, built this giant, has to be 40,000 square foot building, plopped down a parking lot, and built the road from it's either 86th or 22nd. I can't keep them straight, all the way out to where there is. I mean, it's a solid mile out there. And they built this, and they sat out there alone for 2-3 years. The next thing you know, poof, everything's building up. Well, at the time, the people that ran Urbandale said, hey, this TIF is pretty good idea. What we'll do is we'll borrow money against our future revenues when that gets developed. Well, the problem is you have businesses that go belly up. You have projects that get started but can't get finished because of financing. So you're really risking your future money, right? It's like it's even worse than bingo, because at least then you have some fun while you're playing it, right? But it's like a giant slot machine. Or that scene from Vegas Vacation, starring that, with that guy with the bald head and spins that wheel. I can't say the line because I'll get in trouble by Mac again, but the bottom line is everybody knows what that is. So I think that is a terrible idea, an absolutely rotten idea. Now, that's where I would probably disagree with the city candidates, because I've been able to talk to some informally, and they all think it's a great idea. Rob seemed to think it was a decent idea, and Dave Russell surprisingly thought it was a decent idea. So maybe they know something I don't know, but after having researched it for a week, I thought that was a pretty bad idea. Now, we're going to be back right after this break. Please stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about Obamacare and the fiascos that are going on, and some basic myth busting on both sides of the aisle. So stay tuned. You're listening to Doc on Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
Petrosh and Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosh and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
This is Doc with Doc and Lefty. I am just trying to go over all the stuff that Lefty takes care of when he's on the show. Anyway, we miss him. We hope he gets feeling better, and hopefully he can come in and make it for next week. Also want to thank Frank for being one of the best producers a guy could have. He keeps the show running pretty smooth. Also want to thank Lubinas Law Firm for supporting the show, as well as Polk County GOP. Don't forget, they have a fundraiser this Thursday. Governor Rick Perry is coming in, and for all intents and purposes, I can never remember who the second guest is. I actually have 2 extra tickets. If anybody has any interest, you can shoot me an email or get me on Facebook and tell me what you want, or you can call in and say, hey, I want some tickets. By the way, anybody can call in. We don't discriminate if you're a Democrat or Republican. Let's go on to Obamacare. Now, here's what I find funny. We already have passed Obamacare. We haven't been able to repeal it. We can't get it out of the laws, apparently. Apparently, the left gets all up in arms when Congress does its job and says, listen, we're going to pass a budget, and it's not going to include funding for Obamacare. That's the budget. And, you know, they get all up in arms and say, well, it was duly passed bill. Well, that is correct. There's a lot of laws that get repealed. There's a lot of laws that get changed. That's the job of Congress, is to be reflective of the country's mood. Now, there are a whole lot of other problems that are going on with President Obama, and they don't get 1/1,000,000th of the attention that they should. Number one, you have Benghazi. Now, I understand, you know, it might have been it was a CIA outpost. I don't care. Those are still Americans. They're still out there doing a job. They're still trying to gather intelligence for us so that we're safe. They're trying to help that country remain as stable as they can after removed its leader of 40 years. So they were over there trying to do a job that the American government needed done. I don't care if they're CIA or what, they're our citizens. It was our ambassador. It doesn't matter if he's meeting with CIA people. That's his job. That's what he's supposed to do over there. Not a word. You can't find any of the survivors. They're under, from what I've been able to read, they're not allowed to speak. Apparently, there's been threats against their family. I'm not sure if it's from the Obama camp. I mean, there's all kinds of accusations, but something is going on. And when then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says, well, what does it matter now? A month afterwards, it matters a lot. It doesn't mean that other embassies haven't been attacked. It doesn't mean that we didn't suffer other loss of life. The problem with Benghazi is, were they ordered to stand down or not? Were these commanders relieved of their duty because they wanted to disobey orders and save American lives? That's what the question is. Nobody on the liberal media will ask that or pursue it. The NSA spying scandal. I think it's a lot of hullabaloo about nothing about spying on foreign leaders. That's what, international politics is about. It's rather naive to sit here and think, geez, we shouldn't be spying on other nations. We do spy on other nations. We should be doing all the kinds of spying on other nations, especially our allies. The only thing there are a lot of incidences with Israel back in the 60s. There have been incidences with West Germany, with Willy Brandt and his sescapades with a Russian spy. We need to keep tabs on these people because, frankly, it gives us the ability to react quickly to international situations. It gives us an ability to go, well, how is Angela Merkel going to think about this? How is she going to respond? This is where spycraft really comes in. Now, I don't think that's the issue. For me, the NSA spying scandal is when they start looking at Americans. All of our spy sensors should be turned outward. The NSA should be turned outward. The CIA should be turned outward. The FBI should take care of homegrown terrorists. That's what they're for. We should not be collecting all kinds of information, recording conversations. I don't believe any of that's going to be helpful. None of it. The reason is there's simply too much information going by. There's simply too much information. What about that one call? If anybody's smart, they're not going to say, hey, let's go blow up the Chrysler building. I got some bombs and some fertilizer, and I got a little bit of diesel fuel. Let's go over there and run this big old thing in there. They're not going to plan all that stuff out over a phone call. What they're going to do is target everybody that was on this guy's list. Now, I hate to tell you this, terrorists have friends too. And a lot of times these friends have no idea that they're terrorists. Just think of how many people have been busted for spying. Their family had no idea. Aldrich Ames comes to mind. Robert Hansen comes to mind. These are all notorious spies that did quite a bit of damage to the United States. They all had friends. Are you going to drag in everybody on their contact list? No. So those are two huge scandals that really we should be looking at because they are going to directly affect every administration's ability to stay out of our lives or get into our lives down the road. Obamacare website glitched. That happens on the internet. Holy cow. Lefty and I tried for how long did we need months trying to get our website up. Now, of course, we're not the government. We're not spending $300 million for a website that doesn't work. That's true. But having glitches when you go live is not really the issue. All right. The issue is it's a bad bill. Nancy Pelosi said, well, we need to pass it before we can see what's in it. Right. And I wish I would have thought of this, but it's been rumored a doctor came up with that line and said that's what we do with a stool sample. Now that we've had a chance to read it, now that we know what's in it, it's a badly written bill. That's been my issue from the beginning. The issue is not whether the site works or not, because it's a government contracted thing with a private company that has not been vetted and has all kinds of problems. All I know is World of Warcraft, started by Blizzard, went live with 4 million users November 22nd of 2004, and didn't have a single glitch. Not one. Came up, ran fine, 4 million people on that server system in less than 30 seconds, and it ran great. That's the difference between private industry and government industry. We're going to be back for it so I can finish up my rant about Obamacare right after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
This is Doc with Doc and Lefty. Lefty, of course, is out of action tonight. He's feeling under the weather. We hope that he gets back feeling good as soon as he can, because I want to rain more body blows onto him about Obamacare and all this fiasco. Now, this is what people should be upset about. Everybody's talking about, well, the president lied. Well, you know what? What he said is we're not going to take away your ability to stay with your doctor or your ability to keep the insurance if you want to. That is a naive statement, all right? Whenever you introduce a law as sweeping as Obamacare, you're going to have people getting in and getting out of the system. The bottom line is he can't control what insurance companies do. However, it is naive to think that introducing such a punishing bit of legislation is going to make these insurance companies go, well, we'll just lose money. That's okay. We'll stay in business as long as we can. And then because we don't have to answer to our shareholders anymore, we're just going to fold up shop. That is completely naive and completely unreasonable. So what he said really was not a lie. He is not going to stop that. Now, for him to go back and go, well, geez, I misspoke. You can't misspeak 500 times in 5 days in these big pushes that you have. All you have to do is go to YouTube, do a search out there, and you'll find 500 things from different dates where he said, listen, you can keep this, you can keep that. It's a naive statement. Now, I will tell you there's a lot of people that have been saying since the very beginning that Obama wants to ruin America. Here's what the problem is. I don't think he consciously wants to ruin America. I think what's going on in his mind is he's got such a great vision. He's been reelected handily, and why not try to stay with the policies he's endorsed? So I don't think really his intent is to ruin America, but that's essentially what's going on. The problem with Obamacare, we've spoken many times. The problem with Obamacare is it depends a lot on making people who really don't need expensive healthcare plans buying expensive healthcare plans. I'm a big old fat guy. I got plenty of medical problems. I'm going to be expensive to insure. I understand that. That's free market economics. Frank, on the other hand, skinny as a rail, in great shape. He's young. He could probably do a $5,000 deductible catastrophic plan for, before Obamacare for probably $125, $150 a month. That's about what they ran 2-3 years ago when I had the numbers on top of my head. But now they're going to make him buy a $500 policy. Now, he might get a $275 credit, but that policy still costs $500. That money has to come somewhere. That $275 credit that he's getting is coming from your taxes, right? Now, that's great for him. I go out there on the insurance thing. I do my stuff. My insurance costs, now I haven't done the full one. I haven't signed up. I'm going to freely admit. But the estimate that I've gotten twice, I'm going to be paying somewhere around $600. That's terrific for me. Great. I'm only paying $600 a month. Here's what the problem is. Right now, I'm only paying $300 a month. It's a Cadillac plan, and it still covers everything I need. The other plan is not going to cover some of the medications I need. It's not going to cover all the doctor visits I need, despite what they'll tell you. Now, if I was pregnant, I'd be covered. If I needed contraception, I'd be covered. I don't need either one, but you got to have to pay for it. And so do you know who's going to be keeping the price low for me? Frank. Because Frank now probably doesn't even need his $500 insurance policy. His expenses are going to go up by at least $50 a month. And it's either that or he has to pay a $100 fine. Well, I can tell you, when you're looking at paying $200 for a policy a month, $2,400 a year. Now, I can tell you, one, we're a low budget operation, so it's not like we're giving Frank $60 an hour like he deserves. All right. But the bottom line is he's got to make a decision. Am I going to spend that $2,400 or am I going to go, I'm just going to pay you $100? I would ask Frank, but I don't want to put him on the spot. But that's what a decision a lot of these young guys are going to make. And most of these young kids that I've talked to in this spot, that's the decision they're making. They're making it right and left. Now, it's great that Obamacare will allow you to keep your kid on the dole until he's 26 or she's 26. But the bottom line is there's a lot of people losing their insurance. The problem is there's a lot of people letting people go in batches of 2 or 3, 5 and 6. It's happening in hospitals. I promise you that. It's happening in our hospitals here in Des Moines. It's happening in hospitals in areas where I see other doctors. They're doing a wage freeze. In virtually every hospital and hospital administrator I've talked to, they're doing the same thing. I'm not going to name names because I promise I wouldn't, because they can get in real trouble. So the bottom line is it's great that you can keep your kid on your insurance till you're 26, but if you get cut, how are you going to keep your kid on that insurance? So you have to have these kids. The liberals will tell you, we have to have the young people buying insurance they don't need and they don't want in order to make sure everybody gets covered. So again, not only are we saddling our younger generation with all this debt, we're making them pay more for stuff they don't need or use. Now, the government has, apparently, according to Lefty, has the right to make sure that you buy what you're supposed to buy and not buy what other things are supposed to buy. You can require people to buy stuff, apparently. But the bottom line is the federal government shouldn't be into that role. It should be the state in that role. And I don't like that idea either. So you have all these problems with Obamacare, right? The left screams right and left. Oh, well, the states that are red are the ones that are having the most problems, and they're the ones where the costs have gone up the most. Well, just happened to read out of the New York Times, and I don't think they even thought about this when they put it in. Costs in red states are up 78%, and costs in blue states are up 50%. And the bottom line is, that's what Obama lied about. Your insurance stuff won't go up a dime. You won't see any increase. Well, that's not true. He knew it wasn't true. Because that's just stupid to sit there and demand all these things be covered when they're not necessary and not expect it to go up. That's the absolute truth. Go look at these things. Go look at the law. Go look at the rules. See, it's not in the original Obamacare. It's not in there. It's the rules and regulations that can change on Sebelius's whim or the Health and Human Services Director whim every time. So now I have to cover pregnancy in case I get pregnant. Now I know some of you out there go like, geez, Doc, when are you going to drop that baby? Well, there's the other thing. If I'm obese, I can be penalized. The third thing that's weird about this whole thing is now, since I'm obese, I'm part of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and you can't discriminate against me. I wish Lefty was here to explain exactly how Obama's going to get out of that one, because I don't think he can. The last point I'm going to make about this Obamacare thing for this segment. Obamacare is not designed to improve health in any measure. The preventive maintenance things, part of the reason that insurance companies don't fixate on preventive maintenance, people don't come in for them. You know, Frank, when was the last time you were in to get a cholesterol check? Yeah, he hasn't been. You know why? Because he's young and healthy. Do young, healthy people get cholesterol problems? All the time. I got a friend of mine, he's got a cholesterol level of 650. I'm pretty sure he spent a long time building that up. I'm sure if he went as a 20-year-old kid, they would have found it. He doesn't go for that. You know, men are supposed to go for, their yearly exam, so to speak, after the age of 40. They don't do that either. I deal a lot with people coming in. I've just been diagnosed with colon cancer. Well, have you ever had a rectal exam? Well, no. Well, why not? Well, I didn't want to go to the doctor to get one. So in part, people's behavior, you can't modify with this. Giving it to them for free doesn't mean they're going to utilize it. What it does mean is they're going to overutilize the services when they get panicked and underutilize the services when they're healthy. I see it all the time. You ask any doctor, that's what goes on. We're going to be back right after the break. I'm going to continue to rant on a little bit more about Obamacare, and then we're going to switch to Obama's military purges. This is something that's really eye-opening for me. I've talked to several members of the military who are officers, elite officers, and I'm not going to name names because they can get in trouble, but the bottom line is I'm going to tell you what they said. Right after this break, you listen to Doc and Lefty here on webcast1live.com every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, We guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me. But is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
This is Doc with Doc and Lefty. We are here every Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the downtown webcast1live.com studios. I'd like to thank my producer, Frank, for sticking it out with us every week. I'm kind of bummed Frank Jr. wasn't here. I was going to give him a warm welcome. I want to thank our sponsors, Brian Leach, and, of course, all the sponsors of the show. Polk County GOP, Bertroshan Associates, Doc and Lefty, because of course that's what we do, and Lubinas Law Firm. Lefty, of course, isn't here because he's a little bit under the weather, so we wish him a speedy recovery. One of the things about Obamacare, there are statistics out there. They're estimating 5% of people are losing their insurance. That isn't true. Just people calling up to my office talking about, hold on, we got notice we're going to be losing our health care. Our calls are so frequent that we've actually stopped taking calls during the day when we're real busy. And at night, we go through the calls, or the next morning before we get busy, we go through the calls then. What are we going to do? How am I going to get my medication? All these other questions. It's not like we're getting 2 or 3 a day. I bet you we're getting close to 125. I told the girls to start tracking it. So I'm going to have some numbers next week. But the bottom line is it's a lot more than just 5%, at least in my clinical experience. So the bottom line is there's a lot of people losing their insurance. A good friend of mine, Mark Reese, who I should have had on tonight. That's who I forgot to call, Frank. Frank, next time Lefty's sick, I have to call Mark. Have him come on. Now, Mark is a moderate Republican, ran with me in the congressional race. Pretty decent guy. He lost his health insurance. He was totaling along one day, and the way he says, he one day had insurance, next day he opened a letter and went, I don't have any insurance. Now, Mark's a little bit older. He's retired. So the bottom line is he's got to wait until he gets onto Social Security. I had someone in my office today who said, well, I have 4 years until retirement, until I get on Social Security, but I can't find anything on the exchange that I can afford. And I said, well, what about the credit? Well, the problem is the credit doesn't really cover the expenses that she has, right? The amount of insurance she will have to pay, that is estimated, by the way, estimated payment, is going to be far more than what she's paying now. She actually said it's 3 times what I'm paying through the end of the year. Well, what do you need to have done? So she told me the procedure she had to have done. I'm like, man, that's going to be expensive. She goes, yeah, I had them all scheduled for the beginning of next year, so I get my deductible out of the way. Well, there you go. There's another story. So the bottom line is one, At this point, nobody knows how many people are going to be affected. We do know it's going to be a large number, much more than 5%. Number two, the stuff that the liberals are putting out about, well, some people won't be able to keep it, but then they'll be able to get a better, cheaper plan, simply isn't true. If the average cost in a blue state for getting insurance is rising 50% on the exchange, doing it the way Obamacare said to do it, then that's a 50% increase. That means if you're like me, if I was paying $300 a month and now I have to pay $450, that's a 50% increase. That's an extra $150. Where is the savings in this? This just goes right back to left-wing lunacy taking hold and ignoring practicality. That's what this is about. This is about ideology. I believe 100% that America has the ability to go to a single-payer system and do it in such a way that will be cheap and cost-effective. The problem is it won't happen if you put the government in charge of it. This has to be a private upwelling. And the bottom line is we already have a series of free clinics all the way across America. At one point, I tried to volunteer at one. My schedule just didn't work out. There's a lady named Dr. Fish. She runs it. All right. It's out in Waukee. You might say, well, people out there don't need it. Maybe the people in Waukee, not all of them might need it, but there's going to be a lot of them. Plus, Waukee serves a very rural community. So you have these free clinics. You have things. We have a system in place that could take care of everybody. And now what's happening is everybody's going to have to pay a whole lot more for services that they really don't need. Plus, lifestyle choices. There's nothing in Obamacare that is going to make up for the poor lifestyle choices I have made that has got me high blood pressure and diabetes. That is the truth. That is just the truth. My friend with the high cholesterol, you think he stopped eating at Famous Dave's or Chinese? That boy's still throwing it down. These are lifestyle choices that you get to pay for now. People like Frank get to pay for. So it's one of these things where you're like, this doesn't make any kind of sense at all. I don't know what you think, but I think it's just crazy to make people buy something they don't need in order to make sure those that make poor lifestyle choices get serviced. The other thing that I want to point out, and I'm going to throw this in there. People now with HIV and AIDS can get treatment and the good medications, even though they're very expensive. They can do that. However, after Obamacare, there isn't a way that we're going to be able to keep that up. And the reason I know that, no other country in the world can do it. None. In fact, they don't get a lot of stuff. Frank's telling me we have a call. I'm very excited. Give me a second while I put on the magical headphones, and we're ready to roll. Hi, you're listening. This is Doc. You're on Doc and Lefty. Who's this?
I'm a family physician calling in.
All right. Do you have a name? We'll call
Sharon.
Sharon? All right, Sharon. What do you have to say?
I'm a family physician, and I have seen numerous of my patients hurt immensely with this healthcare reform. I've had a patient in the other day who's had numerous hospitalizations this year. She's like 60 years old. None of this is just bad luck, nothing that she's caused herself. Her husband is an insurance agent in a 6-person firm. Just got notified that their insurance was discontinued. He went online, couldn't get an insurance, but called finally. The person on the phone told him it'd take a month to get the paperwork to him and then 6 weeks to hear a response. So he mentioned to this person on the phone, do you realize that's going to be after January 1st when we lose our insurance? And he just basically said, oh, I guess you're right. So this poor woman had better not need hospitalization come January 1st. There are going to be hundreds and lots of people who are going to be in this same situation. Come January 1st, there's going to be a lot of people who aren't going to have any health care coverage while they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Now, yeah, that's absolutely true. That's part of what I was trying to allude to today. Some people are getting notices now that they don't have insurance. Well, we decided insurance, September 30th. And other people getting notices, your last day of insurance is 12/31/13. Now, the problem is here's supposed to be this big giant website that we paid $294 million for that's what they said it's cost so far. That's White House numbers. So, it's been a lot more expensive. But they can't get on. They cannot get on. Now, Lefty says, well, yeah, I tried. I could get on just fine. Well, he didn't complete the process. I've had people in my office saying, listen, I've tried to get this insurance. I can't get on. And the estimates, the few that have been able to say, I got on, but I can't afford the new insurance, are all going, wow. You get just about $275, $300 of credit. Well, the bottom line is if you're already paying $700 a month and you go up 50 to 78%, that's a lot of money. You can't get that back. So, yeah, I agree with you 100% that these people are not going to be able to be insured. They're also going to have a change in insurance, which, as a family physician, these people get on medications. It takes us a while to figure out the right combination. They're on this combination. They switch insurance. Next thing you know, the insurance wants us to try the same medications we tried before that didn't work. That's how this stuff works. You know it and I know it.
I know. January 1st is going to be terrible in our offices because there's going to be people who aren't going to know if they have insurance, they don't have insurance. And my Medicare patients, they're out of pocket that they're having to pay for prescriptions and stuff have just gone up significantly. And anyway, so I have not found anybody yet in my practice that has said that their costs have been decreased with this situation.
Yeah, it's the same with mine. And we do a survey every 3 months about patient satisfaction in our office. And the question I put on this last time is, has your insurance gone up? Are you happy with your insurance? And has the cost of your drugs gone up? Now, we're still, we do it quarterly, so we're, our quarter is about a month behind everybody else. We should have the numbers here, somewhere around November 15th, be able to do it. Sharon, thanks a lot for calling in. We have to go take a break. I appreciate your call. I really do. You're listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com every Tuesday at 6:30, 7:30 p.m. Please stay tuned. We're going to be talking about Obama's military purges. This will blow your socks off. We'll be back right after the break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
This is Doc with Doc and Lefty. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Tom Coates, who's really a pretty decent guy. He helps keep the lights on here at the studio. I want to thank Lubinas Law Firm and Bertrosian Associates for sponsoring the show, along with Polk County GOP, which I keep forgetting. They have this fundraiser on November 7th. I happen to have 2 extra tickets at the VIP table. So if you want these tickets, let me know. Facebook me, give me a call. call Frank if you want. And we'll get it all set up for you. There's also tickets still available. You can call PokeCountyGOP.com or I think it's 280-6438. Is that right? Yep. Now, I just got done railing on Obamacare. I could do this for days. And what I really like is when I do this, sometimes I get paid to go out and lecture about how crappy Obamacare is. Can you believe that? Anyway, sometimes I don't get paid. I do it for free because it's so much fun. Every once in a while, I'll stumble into a liberal who says, well, don't you think all the poor people who can't afford it, don't you think they should have it? Well, the bottom line is that's what Medicaid's for. We have a program in place for that. Well, yeah, but still people fall through the cracks. That is true. That's what the free clinic's for. Well, yeah, but you can't get into the free clinics. That isn't true. All you have to do is call a doctor. They'll get you in. All right? I get people in all the time that can't pay. We set up some kind of payment schedule that isn't punishing, or, sometimes we go to the free clinic, whatever it is. So the bottom line is Americans have always taken care of our healthcare needs. Now, here's the thing that the liberals never talk about and never want to talk about. The military. All they want to do is crap on us, right? They don't like the military. They think we ought to be cut. Cut this, cut that. We spend more money than any other country in the world combined. All this other stuff. Well, here's what they don't really get. The reason Europe is able to have their socialist experiment is because we're the ones that provide the military for their security. That's the bottom line. There is no way at all that they could provide for their own security if they had to pay for it. We picked that tab up. There's no way the South Koreans could do it. We picked that tab up. There's no way Japan could do it. We picked that tab up. Now, Japan, I understand, a little bit different situation, Security around the world is dependent upon American might, period. The Middle East would be a whole lot worse if it wasn't for involvement from the U.S. Now, that doesn't mean that we go boots on the ground everywhere and the rest of it. And you can argue if it's destabilized the region or not. The bottom line is they're all still hating each other. They're still all killing each other. But it hasn't blown up into a world war because we are a stabilizing influence. That's what our military does. Now, the problem is, and this is my personal belief, Obama identifies strongly with his Kenyan background. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. The problem is, a lot of Kenyans believe that America is a colonial power, that we are an empire and not a republic. They don't get the distinction. They see us as colonizers. Well, if you identify strongly with the Kenyan culture, and part of that Kenyan culture is fighting against colonialism, and you can't argue that one either, then essentially what Obama is doing is trying to take apart the thing that allows us to be a colonial power, even though we're not. We're talking about an attitude and an opinion. So you have, what would you say, 12 years of unfettered growth of the military. Well, at least 8 years of unfettered growth because we were involved in 2 wars over in the Middle East. And I think that was necessary. What you have now is general after general getting caught in scandals, getting caught doing things they're not supposed to do, and getting fired at record rates. Some of these people, it's just a mere accusation, no proof, no nothing, just now you're not in command. There's been a lot of disgruntlement in the military in the last 3 years. I hear it all day long in my office. I hear it from family members in the military. I hear it from former military people. I hear it from current officers. The bottom line is there is a feeling that Obama is forcing social change onto our military. That's nothing new. Every time a liberal gets in there, they want to force some change. We want to change the military. Well, here's the problem. The military is not for social change. It is for wrecking things and behaving badly. That's what our military does. You can't say, oh, well, go over here and ask little Sally if she would like an ice cream cone. That's not what our military does. Our military says, listen, there's a bad guy down the road. Looks like he's bunkering in. We're going to go in there and stomp him flat. That's what they do. It's not for social change. The less social change in the military, the more equipped they are to fight. There was just a person was on, a general was on, 2 weeks ago, talking about we only have 2 brigades ready to fight. And he discussed, the military, sequester, everything else. He said everything politically correct. Here's what he didn't say. When you start talking about people being allowed to be openly gay in the military, what you're talking about is a small minority that are openly gay creating a problem for the rest of the majority. Now, I've been on this show before saying, if you're gay and want to get married, I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. It's really not my fight. You do what you want. If you want to be miserable in marriage like a lot of other people, knock yourself out. What I'm saying is you're going into a very macho thing. I'm not saying that, they should be sexually harassing the women and the rest of it, but all these social experiments disrupts the unit cohesion. And if you do that, you don't have the ability to carry out your mission like you did. All right. Private Lynch. Here she is in a convoy, gets ambushed, right? Now the after action reports, here's some people trying to defend her because she's a female. You don't hear that much. You actually have to read the reports. You have to read what has been published, and that's what they say. And the bottom line is that's exactly what we're fearful of. We're not treating women equally in the military because there's a basic difference in sexes. Not that I don't think women should be in the military. I think they should be. And in fact, I have a deal of respect for women who do join the military. It's just that I don't think their role should be in combat. I will tell you, here's the thing. The Russians have the most effective sniper force in World War II, bar none. You won't find anybody that's going to argue that. Nobody. And most of their snipers were women. So I believe that there is a role for women in the military. I just don't believe it's in frontline combat. Second thing, you have to keep in mind deployment. Deployment, 6 months, you have women mixed in. Women and men are going to fraternize because they're in a bad situation. Now you have broken families at home. Nobody thinks about that. Now, that's a little bit of the background. Obama has been firing people at record rates, 40 a year. I've had several people tell me that the rate is unprecedented. Getting rid of people right and left. These are high-ranking officers I'm talking to. These people are shifting away from the military, shifting away from trying to advance because they don't want to be the next one on the chopping block. One of the things that's interesting that all these people I talked to, with the exception of one, all said the people that are getting chopped are people that are conservative in nature, who have disagreed privately with the president's worldview and his policies. One general was openly critical of the president's change of the rules of engagement. Now, I have talked 100 times on this show about how the president's rules of engagement cost lives. I'm not the only one to say this. I know that these engagements cost lives. I have talked to people in my office that have said, if I had been under regular rules of engagement, we wouldn't have lost people. I've heard that over and over. That's the problem. he's getting rid, I believe, he's getting rid of people that don't agree with him, dismantling the Army. Now, in all fairness, the one person who disagreed with that assessment is a dear friend of mine I'm not going to name, but he is a person I have known since I was young. I mean, like younger than Frank. And I trust him implicitly. And he has said, you've had an unprecedented buildup. If you're drawing down, you're going to have an unprecedented drawdown. That's number one. Number two, things that were tolerated during the war years, that kind of behavior is no longer acceptable. So if you step out of line at all, they're going to can you. Now, the third thing is the most popular general in recent memory, General Petraeus, was basically defanged. Obama got him out of Afghanistan, put him in some desk job, put him in charge of regional whatever. Things went to crap under McChrystal. I went over numerous shows over that fiasco. You put him back in charge so he could at least get things back under control. Now what do you do with an American hero? You can't just can him. You can't come out with the scandal that he was involved in. You have to get him out of theater. And what's the best way to do that? Put him in charge of something else. Well, now he's in charge of the CIA. They knew about his affair with this Trace's mistress for years, right? And suddenly, well, he's over at the CIA for 6 months. He's there enough. He's separated enough from the military that we won't get a lot of backlash. Bam, let's release this information. Information the FBI had the entire time. Now they get rid of America's most popular hero. They can numerous, highly decorated officers. Officers fought in Vietnam. People put together Delta Force. People that are Congressional Medal of Honor winners. And they can them all. All of them. And I believe that's basically cutting off the head of the snake so that you, as America, can no longer extend your power and be a colonial power. I believe that is at least a possibility. And I believe it's a strong one. Now, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Sharon for calling in. I appreciate your call. We'll be back next week. We have a full show. You tune into Facebook. Go to Doc and Lefty. We're going to start blogging. We're going to get that done here this week. Go to docandlefty.com to tune in. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Petrosian Associates, Polk County GOP, and Lubinas Law Firm, along with Frank, our producer. We will be back here next week, Tuesday, from 6:30, 7:30 p.m., right after Ed Fallon. It's a good thing. It's a good thing I counterbalance Ed. I even leave my truck running outside extra so I can burn up more carbon because, he saves a lot of carbon riding his bike to work. We'll see you next week. Webcast1live.com. Thanks for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Representative Tom Shaw, and I love these guys. Both of them.
Love these guys. Get over here. Love both of them.